Big wrestling weekend in store for you. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the trendsetter Brian Berger. We are HSP and we are on the Give a Shot Network. Make sure you like and subscribe here. Hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss 1 second of HSP. On big weekends like today, you don't want to miss a thing. So make sure, again, you're following us on the Give a Shot Network. Follow us on all our social media platforms as well. If you can't watch us, listen to us on all podcast platforms and make sure you catch us there. So if you can't watch us, listen to HSP on iTunes, on Spotify, on all major podcast platforms. Like I said, Trendsetter, big weekend in store for you in wrestling, a big Saturday and an even bigger Sunday. So let's get to it, Trendsetter. We've got Saturday night's main event and we've got AEW All In, the biggest event for AEW and a Saturday night's main event, which is going to be most likely the end of a Hall of Famer's career, but we'll get to that as well. Trendsetter, how you doing, man? Big weekend. Are you excited?
Yeah, man. Hopefully not too overwhelmed because there's so much. If you're a wrestling fan, there's so much to look forward to for this upcoming weekend with AEW, WWE, Saturday night's main event. We talked about Evolution's going to happen on Saturday, NXT, all this great stuff going on that we're going to be talking about right now as we're breaking down the cards. But, man, what could you ask for more of your fan, Jeff, right? I remember not too long ago we're talking about the fact that, and I know we're dating ourselves, like, man, WWE is the only thing, and TNA was up and coming, and it was called Impact back then, and we're like, man, there's just not enough of it. Now there seems to be too much, but at the same time, how I always compare it to Baskin Robbins, it's just so much to choose from, so great time to be a wrestling fan, man.
So this is what we're going to do for you guys. We will give you our Saturday night's main event preview, and we're going to also give you our all-in preview, and followed by part 2, which will come to you on Sunday, which we will review and we actually will preview Evolution and the Great American Bash. So much to discuss. Enough with the stalling. Let's get to it, Trendsetter. But first, let's talk about SmackDown a little bit here because you saw what's leading into Saturday night's main event and some breaking news as well too. We have new WWE Tag Team Champions. The Wyatt Six defeated the Street Profits. And all I'm going to say about the tag team division on my end, Trendsetter, is that I just don't think there is any planning for it. I wanted to see what the Street Profits were about. This 119-day run was interesting because you actually were thinking maybe they're going to give them the ball to run with it. And to me, just to make sure that the Wyatt Six maybe this time didn't stop and start and didn't stall in this reincarnation. Again, it's just giving them the title for giving them the title. And I just, the tag team division is very promising on SmackDown, especially. And I really was not a huge fan of giving the title to the Wyatt Six. I understand why they did it, but you got to give the Street Profits a better opportunity to do so. They had, they obviously had a very impressive ladder match on SmackDown before, which was a match of the year candidate with the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY. But, for them to lose to the Wyatt Six here, I just did not like it. I just didn't like the booking of it. And you've got new tag team champions. Congratulations to the Wyatt Six. Just not a fan of the way they went about it. Now, I don't think it was the right time for the Wyatt Six to become the new tag team champions. Got to give the Street Profits a little bit more leeway here and a more longer title run.
I've said this before many times, right, Jeff? And I would hope that under this new regime, things would have been different. But things continually remain the same. I've been a huge fan and have advocated the importance of what tag team wrestling is all about, how you build new stars, how people always talk about how you want newer superstars, you want the audience to connect with somebody. You do that through, in my opinion, tag team wrestling. And it seems like any other league out there, whether it be TNA, MLW, you name it, right? Even AEW to a certain degree, but we won't go into that rabbit hole, right? But it seems like any other place, tag team wrestling is held into a high regard. But for some reason, the WWE, similar to how we spoke before in the past about secondary titles being meaningless, and now it's kind of changing or turning the corner in a certain way, the tag team division has still been suffering for God knows how long. And it continues the same path where you said, for the Street Profits being put in a position where it was a no-win situation, the Wyatt Six becoming new tag team champions. And like you said, you understand why they made the move, right? But this whole stop and start in the scenario where there's no fluidity. Now, if we're going to compare rosters, I definitely like the tag team division better on SmackDown than I do on Raw.
It's much better.
And I could, make the argument that NXT's tag team division, although there are some kind of unknown names there, is still somewhat better or up there in the level of what SmackDown is in terms of competition, in terms of continuity of what the
I don't know about
psychology
that.
is.
I don't know about that. I think Raw's
Hear
way
me,
better.
of understanding the psychology of tag team wrestling. I'm not talking about star power here. I'm not talking about established teams, because even the minuscule teams that they do have in NXT still put forth more of an effort than what we see on SmackDown and Raw in terms of presentation and importance. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So it's a tough situation for me because of how much I love and feel how important tag team wrestling is. And when you see what happened there, you said it yourself, man, I don't want the White Six to win this. Nothing against them, but you know what? Now, what are you doing for the Street Profits here? They had their moment in the sun, short lived, and this is the end result. So, again, another scenario where you're just shaking your head like, what is going on here? Why can't we stick to a plan and stay with it? Now, a lot can argue and say, oh, that's the plan. It was always the plan for the White Six. I highly doubt that because of these stops and starts and the fact that they were, they're trying to push them further when they made their re-debut. But again, just I shake my head. This tag team division is literally uh it's a headache, man. It really
It's a
is.
mess. That's what it is. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's a mess just because, again, the White Six, maybe no fault of their own, just because of injury. They've, you know, were on Raw, and then that was controversial, not in the aspect of anything bad, but just their debut. A lot of people liked it. They don't like that magic stuff, that supernatural stuff. It's much more tolerable when it was Bray Wyatt that was doing it, because there was kind of like a method to the madness, but even he had to be reined in a little bit. But this right here to me is just like, all right, fine, but like, are they going to get a long term push, the Wyatt Six? Where does leave the Street Profits? Where does leave the other tag teams? It seems like they were in fear of the Wyatt Six, and it seems like where does the Street Profits go from here? I personally have nothing against Angela Dawkins, but I think it's now time that you need Montez Ford to just break out and be that individual. And I know you mentioned tag team wrestling being important because there is a breakout star in one of these teams that you'll find ever so often. You'll get a Shawn Michaels. There are superstars that you can make out of the tag team. That's why it's so important. But I think it's now time to realize that Montez Ford is above this. Again, no insult to Angelo Dawkins, but it's just time that what's he going to do now? Chase again and get a rematch for the tag team title? Either he turns on Angelo or either he gets frustrated. But Montez Ford needs to take that next step. Not his decision, but the company's decision. It's time to elevate this guy because I just think there are better things in store for Montez Ford, and I think keeping him in the tag team division kind of stunts his growth as a singles wrestler, which is what I think he's destined to be. And then the YS62, are they going to have a long-term title run? What's going to happen to the Motor City Machine Guns? Now you have Andrade and Ray Phoenix who've not entered the tag team division now. So while there is a lot of talent there, I'm not confident with the booking. On Raw, listen, JD McDonough and Finn Balor, again, we're getting to the point where they're not defending those tag team titles, and it was very disappointing and lackluster title reign for the New Day this time around too, in this heel way. And then you book two heels, and then JD and Finn get cheered. So I'm just not. I'm not sure what the tag team division is right now, and it's even in more limbo than I thought. I'm not really happy with why it's six. I know you agree with me on that one. We'll see what happens, but I'm not really confident going forward to how they're going to book this tag team division. But the Wyatt Six are your new tag team champions. And then we saw a little bit of SummerSlam news, as a lot of people, a lot of people have their opinions about Jelly Roll and bringing stars outside of the ring, celebrities, musicians. It's always happened. It's always been with WWE. It's been their thing. They bring outside people on special things like this. And at MetLife Stadium, SummerSlam, it's a two-night event. You got to fill this place. Jelly Roll will most likely tag team with Randy Orton and take on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Listen, real quick. Listen, you're going to have these kind of matches where you're going to have celebrities in it. A lot of people are already bitching about, oh, Jelly Roll, all this stuff. Listen, he's an entertainer. They dig him. It's a TKO thing now. TKO is about the sports entertainment. And listen, a lot of people think there's better things for Drew and Randy, in my opinion. But I can't get upset about this matchup. This is basically just a like you were talking about Baskin Robbins. This is your variation of flavors that you get at SummerSlam, as you need to do so in an event like this. Everyone's going to get their fill. Everyone who wants the outside musician, that guest, that special kind of person to be in these matches is going to be in a match at SummerSlam. I am not opposed to it, but I definitely think that there could be better things done for Randy Orton and a Drew McIntyre. I know obviously you are a proponent for Drew McIntyre, and I also think that Randy Orton's being wasted a little bit in this run that he's had.
Listen, I have nothing against the celebrities getting involved. Like you said, it's been a history of what WWE has done. They've brought people outside of the business to draw more eyes and attention to it. Lo and behold, WrestleMania 1, you had a whole bunch of celebrities there, and it's continued on ever since then. But when you look at the comparison of Jelly Roll, right, and you have a scenario of these other quote unquote influencers, celebrities, musicians, artists, whatever you want to call it, right? And he had a guy like Bad Bunny. Not a fan of his music, but my goodness, how many eyes did he turn in terms of, man, this guy actually put in the work and was really good. A Logan Paul, who's the exception to the rule. But he put Jelly Roll in there, and you're like, here we go. But to my point, like I said before, right, it's like Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors, and it's something for people to be entertained with. I shake my head because as much as I understand from the business aspect, it makes sense for them. Hey, listen, this is an attraction, right? Okay, it's an attraction. But now you use somebody like Randy Orton, that you said, Drew McIntyre, who I feel shouldn't be in a situation like this, and a guy like Logan Paul. Okay, it's going to be a one-off. It's going to be that, but really, it makes me scratch my head. I'm like thinking, like, what the hell, man? We couldn't have thought of anything more to do with the Randy Orton after losing to Cody Rhodes at the King of the Ring, showing signs of maybe the voices in his head now kind of trying to take over again, had that look on his face, a little anger and resentment maybe towards Cody. Okay, a little Easter egg there.
I don't know.
Drew,
I don't know
Drew
if I
and
really.
Randy Orton, the history there. Logan Paul, seriously, Logan Paul after fighting a guy like AJ Styles and all these matches he's had is not going to be in a celebrity match with Jelly Roll. To me, it just I get it, but I'm like, really? Why? Why couldn't he just perform? Why couldn't he just sing like he did last time? In the middle
I
of the
would
ring,
have no
do like a
problem
mini
with that.
concert. Why not? Why in the ring? Why be in the ring? I don't get it.
Yeah, and again, nothing against Jelly Roll because again, he looks like he's gotten in shape. He's dropped a significant amount of weight, and if he's a fan and he's gonna and he really is in it, then I have no issue. But it's who you're putting in there against Randy and Drew, which we both feel could be doing better. Which we've also made our case why. And I don't know, man. I don't know why we're waiting for this Randy Orton turn. It just feels like it just feels like it's never gonna happen now, And
We said the same
uh,
thing about John Cena turning heel, right? It's never going to happen, and it actually did.
and
Better
and
late than never.
and Randy should be a heel, and I get it that he's enjoying all the love and they're singing his song, and I get that, and it's working. But or maybe they're waiting for Cody to get that title so that we can get the full effect of a Randy Orton turn. I get it, but I just feel like I just feel like it's right now. I feel like it's never gonna happen. We'll watch me say that, and it will happen like at SummerSlam or something. But I got no issue with Jelly Roll, whatever. I
Jeff,
mean,
regardless of the turn happens, though, wouldn't you say those little Easter eggs, those little slights where we see it possibly happen, at least keeps us interested and intrigued, and not get bored of the Randy Orton because of this face run that he's doing right now?
To an extent, what bothers me about Randy Orton is that every time he loses, he's lost a lot lately. Uh, I just then he takes some time off, and then we don't see him for 2 months, 3 months, and then he comes back. I know this is all part of the healing process and the time off that he gets and stuff, and they don't want to put wear and tear on the body. I get it. But I just again, we talk about stop and start in the tag team division. It's been a lot of stop and start with Randy. We love it when he comes back, but then he doesn't get the job done. We still love him because he is Randy, right? Randy Orton, but he's just to me like I just want to see him as that heel. As for Drew, again, we loved him in the CM Punk angle. We loved that he was finally himself. We've loved the promos. He still does a heck of a job with his promos. That hasn't changed. But I'm just waiting for this next level of Drew. And to me, Trendsetter, it's not on them. It's on just what is Triple H? What is the booking? What are they waiting for? I mean, I know LA Knight's right now in this position. I know Cody. I know Cena's there, but like, what are we waiting for? Let's change it up. Let's have a little bit of variation to it. Let's make it more. I just want to change. I just want something change, and that's not much to ask for, Trendsetter. What do you think?
Listen, change is a beautiful thing, right? But then unless you intend to do the same thing over and over again, and then you're just being in terms of insane. Insanity is just the point of doing something over and over again and expecting different results. Now, listen, I could be the one that say and advocate that I so badly want Drew McIntyre in a main event title picture, but right now he's been there before, and he has been there. Maybe not recently, but he has been in prominent storylines. So to say that, oh, he needs to be in the title picture, I don't say that every single person like Randy Orton should be in the title picture, Drew McIntyre, because there's no space for a guy like LA Knight, for example. That, listen, you and I have had our opinions on what we feel LA Knight is right now,
He
but
has gotten better though. I do like
he has
this.
gotten better,
I
and
do like
it
this
seems like
switch.
he's been given an opportunity now, which the fans are super happy about. Great, give them what they want. They want to see LA Knight in the main event title picture. Here we go, or in a main event type of situation caliber. Here we go, right? But when it comes to your point, you're saying this whole stop and start with Randy. I get that point you're saying, but listen, the same thing can be said about a guy like CM Punk. CM Punk has not been on TV regularly in the ring. Every once in a while, he pops on the microphone, says something, stop and start. I think in this day and age now, if I were to say something about this regime, is that as much as we might be sometimes frustrated with stops and starts, let's say Randy built up to a storyline, he loses, which he has been doing a lot lately, and then takes some time off TV. I think it's actually pretty good because it allows us to not necessarily forget, but like, all right, we're moving on here. But all right, when is he going to return? When is he coming back? Same thing with CM Punk, because CM Punk's had amazing matches and then has taken 2, 3, 4 weeks off and then come back in the middle of whether it be a beatdown or a Hell in a Cell match he had
It's
with Drew McIntyre. So
it's
it
changed
has
a little
been
bit for
done
Punk though.
before,
It's
other
changed
than
a little bit,
Randy Orton.
but it's changed a little bit for Punk now. He's on a little bit more regular. Wasn't on
Not in the
last time,
ring.
but I know, but he's not going to get in the ring except on the PLEs, and what I mean. It's on special occasions you'll see him wrestle, but he has been a little bit more consistent. Just want to put that out there before
I
anyone
get
wants
it,
to
but you
fact
could
check.
say he's been more consistent, but the
I,
comparison's there. He stopped and
I
starts so
I
much.
get
So
it, but that's
what's the
been
difference between Punk
but
and
it's been,
Randy
but
Orton
it's
right now?
been it's it hasn't been as recent now. He's been more consistently. I just want to just cover our tracks here because the IWC loves to like nitpick, and they're gonna get on you, trendsetter, because you just got to be
Oh
a little.
no, they're gonna get on me. Oh my god.
That little feud that's going on IWC between two media people is just hilarious to me. One last thing about SmackDown, I got to give props to Sol Ruka. I don't know when she's going to get called up to the main roster, but holy crap, she is a superstar that I mean, she is special. That's all I'm going to say about Sol Ruka. Special, special, special. And I give props to Charlotte for that little reaction that she gave there when she did her move, with that somersault outside to the ring. Very impressive. And obviously, she's going to be a future main player in the company. Excited about Sol Ruka's future. I mean, she just does nothing but impress, and she's going to be a huge part of Great American Bash, and also and about this women's evolution weekend. So it is a huge weekend, like we were saying. So we were talking about a little SmackDown, right? So let's talk about Saturday Night's main event, because that's going to be to close out the night, and we're going to talk about All In. But since we already talked about SmackDown, let's talk about Saturday Night's main event. We talked about how we like LA Knight so far, this booking against Seth freaking Rollins, and we saw him get involved again in another main event. We seen that with Jim Uso, and he took on Solo and JC Mateo. Here's one thing I'll say too. I, this I thought there'd be a silver lining with Solo Sikoa winning the U.S. Championship, but my God, has this booking of Sol Sikoa been even worse than when he was losing all those matches as the enforcer? You talk about I have no faith. I have no faith they could do right by Sol Sikoa with this U.S. Championship run. It is without a doubt the dumbest. He is taking losses and loss and loss. He'll probably beat Jimmy Uso, as we're going to break down this card for SummerSlam. Only four matches so far, but my God, Trendsetter,
Means Saturday Night's main event. Yeah.
can they properly book this guy, because here's somebody that gets the big win over Jacob Fatu, only to just job any which way he can to Jimmy Uso. I get that you're trying to do a solid to Jimmy, but you're doing a disservice to Solo here, and he's. I don't know where this is going as far as the U.S. title run, but I see it short-lived, and I see it a debacle. And that's me using this word, a debacle of a title run as a U.S. champion so far, and I don't see it getting better.
Hey, he's there, Joe Beninga. Um, Listen, the worst thing that could have happened to Solo Sikoa, despite the booking, like you said, and I'm agreeing with you in terms of how they decided to use them once the whole Bloodline storyline continued, where it was all falling apart for the Bloodline with Roman Reigns, Jimmy, and Jey Uso, and the whole, the end result of what happened at WrestleMania 40, right? But to me, the worst thing could have happened to Solo Sikoa, Jeff, is Jacob Fatu. That's
Yeah.
the word, because to me, Jacob Fatu is the essence of what Solo was supposed to be. This whole aura of him being the enforcer when he first started with the Bloodline, being called up for NXT, and let's say he had a really good run. People might forget, but he had a really good run in NXT. So good that they called him up, I feel, earlier than needed, but it worked. He was the enforcer, didn't say much, didn't have to say much, was just the brutal force of the muscle behind that group. And then when Roman left, you thought naturally he's going to fall into Solo's hands because were kind of pushing that, saying that Solo's going to be the next guy, throwing Easter eggs out there that Solo's going to turn on Roman or vice versa, and maybe he was going to be the one the fans get behind, or he was going to be the villain as Roman converted to a babyface. But as soon as he started talking, and he had those moments with John Cena at Saudi Arabia, and he beat him, it still has been such an inconsistency where the enforcer is no longer there. This version of Solo, which I love. Listen, I love Solo Sikoa as a person, and I do love his work in the ring, but it's just been a complete 180 of what we once knew. He's now vulnerable. He's, more importantly, he's beatable. Who would have thought during WrestleMania 4 this guy was beatable? Any match should be in would be like, man, this person, whoever's the opponent, is going to have to go through hell to beat or even survive Solo Sikoa. Now it's like it's doable. And now a guy like Solo, who's the enforcer, needs a whole bunch of people on his back to win matches for him, which I had no problem with that type of heat for a heel. But my goodness. So like I said, the worst thing could have happened was Jacob, because right now Jacob Fatu, with the crowd loving him so much, that's what Solo should have been at the end of this whole Bloodline storyline. WrestleMania 40, it didn't happen. Jacob took the ball and he ran with it, and he's on fire right now. So that's the unfortunate thing. I don't think you can piece this thing back like Humpty Dumpty together again. I don't know if you can do it right now. You have to reset everything, because right now this version of Solo as the head of whatever this faction's name is,
MFTs, yeah, the MFTs.
the MFTs, I can think of another word for it, but it doesn't work
Well,
whatsoever.
here's my thing, though, right? In order to have validity to this group, to this faction, he should be winning so that you can build him up. So I thought that the U.S. Championship win was going to just build him up, and he was going to get legitimate wins. But now, if he's losing to Jimmy, who, let's be honest, was struggling before this to find some kind of headway, now that Jay is out of the picture, they're not going to be tag teaming anytime soon. He was struggling as a solo act, and now he's beating Solo Sikoa, who beat Jacob Fatu, and now it first of all doesn't add validity, it doesn't add credibility to Solo, and it does even worse for his group. To
Listen, we talk about wins and losses, right, Jeff? And wins and losses
and
don't matter.
they do matter in this case.
Yeah. It's the manner in which you lose. If he
Yeah.
had lost to via count out or disqualification, that's one thing. But to lose to Jimmy, no offense to him, it's just like you said, it kind of loses its luster. Whatever momentum you thought he might have gained by winning the US title has died pretty quickly.
And especially when you're trying to solidify his new group, you're trying to make sure they're getting the Team Bloodline moniker, they're getting all that BS, all that stuff. So instead of quieting it down, him losing actually affects the whole group, because he's supposed to be the leader, he's supposed to be a strong leader, and it's not showing it right now. Now, leading into what happens at Saturday Night's Main Event, and I'm gonna, after all we just complained, I think Solo's gonna get the victory here. I don't think Jimmy's walking away, and I know that Jimmy's gonna get his wins, and maybe it only counts at Saturday Night's Main Event. But I don't know. It's gonna be like, he wins, big deal. And it's just, again, it's, to me, it's not gonna be a significant victory when they do fight on. It just, to me, it's a meaningless victory when he beats Jimmy, which I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, to me, it's a no-win situation. I got Solo winning this one and
Yeah.
Jimmy losing, and like, okay, then what was the point of that? Was it just to make us believe that Jimmy could beat him, to put a shred of doubt in our mind? Maybe it doesn't really work, in my opinion. But Jeff, real quick, doesn't it seem right now this whole version of what Solo is doing with this new group seem like, listen, the Bloodline? What an amazing story that was! What an amazing group, right? It feels
Oh,
like
I
it's
miss
the
it. I
version.
miss it. I miss it.
I know, but doesn't it feel like the version of the original NWO? and then they spread into these like weird
Oh
tactics
man,
of black. It
and
feels diluted with the people now that are in
they
this group
didn't
with
have
Solo.
to. They didn't have to, you know. And again, maybe one day they bring it all back and tie it in somehow, which obviously they could. But man, we got spoiled so much, and we got spoiled storyline wise so much, and that just that creativity is gone. I mean, just that compelling whatever segment that you were a fan of, right? And we were huge Bloodline fans. That compelling segment is just not there on either show, on Raw or SmackDown. It's just not like, oh, okay, when they come out, yeah, let's watch it because this is gonna be riveting stuff. This is what we're watching. It's like everyone has a special part of the show. Uh, I'm not saying that the wrestling is bad, but I'm just saying that compelling thing that makes me want to watch, that makes me want to tune in. It's been a while. It's been now even before WrestleMania that I haven't been compelled to watch a match. I would say maybe the last thing that even triggered me was maybe Seth Roman and CM Punk because I wanted to see how that was going to end. But you know, Jay and Gunther. And again, the match with Rhea, Io, and Bianca was amazing, but that was a match. The storyline, eh. And I just right now, I don't find anything compelling that makes me want to watch. You know, I guess maybe when Randy Orton does turn, see that personal, you know,
Vendetta.
relationship with no his that personal relationship he has with Cody that it's so runs so deep. See how maybe they can draw emotion off of that. But I have not been emotionally drawn or been compelled like with the Bloodline. And to me, I'll go back to it. You can go back to at least every show we've done so far this year. That January 6th, that Raw on Netflix was without a doubt one of the worst nights storyline wise for WWE because not only did the Bloodline end to me that story, but then the Rock just came in and just totally, honestly, just took a dump on everything that they worked on for WrestleMania 40. Yeah, you know, everything like that was just to me just washed away on that Raw on Netflix, and you know, that's just how I feel. I mean, that was the beginning. That was the early signs, a warning that this new way of TKO and whatever's going on here is not what we saw back at WrestleMania 40 and all that lead in and all that build up. It's just to me, it's just become like okay, the wrestling is good. You have a strong roster, but the stories are just not there right now, right? I mean that's to me, just the stories are not there. I'm not compelled.
Magic is not there anymore. It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really gone right now. It really is. Um, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Again, we were talking about the whole lead into the tag team matchup at SummerSlam. This is a toss up to me here. Who wins this one? Listen, I'm gonna go Randy beats Drew, but again, it's not what I want. And not what I would want to see Drew take a loss. Maybe we do see Logan and Jelly Roll here maybe get involved, and maybe it turns out to be like a disqualification or something like that, or like you know they say a schmaz. But uh, I don't see Randy Orton losing here, and I see him beating Drew. Do you see it any other way?
I mean, to the point you just made, though, the fact that Logan Paul and I don't know if Jelly Roll is going to be there, but Logan Paul being that X factor there after we just saw on SmackDown, costing Randy Orton the match will lead into more of a build up for SummerSlam, I think. So I see Drew winning this one by crook. Not going to be clean, unfortunately. And listen, Randy has been on a losing streak right now. But here's the thing too. Even like again, I compare CM Punk though, but even with Randy, like yeah, he has lost a lot though, but doesn't really change my perception of him now. I mean, it looks bad to a certain degree when you look at man, like how many losses he had so far, but still because of his aura, because of the person he is, I don't think it affects him too much. But again, I think it's going to be another L in in the column there for Randy Orton, and I think Drew comes out victorious
Oh,
with help of Logan Paul.
we talked about LA Knight. We talked about Seth freaking
Yeah,
Rollins, and yeah, we like where it's going. If it's going to go the way that it should, then he needs to beat Seth freaking Rollins here. I don't see why Seth would need this victory. And I made this a point of it last week that I'm not a fan of the group. They are still nameless. We know that Paul Heyman now goes by the Oracle, at least. Fine. That's great. But the team has no name. It has definitely has stars on the rise. And you know how I feel about Seth Rollins. He's an MVP, but I'm just not I just feel like this is a mismatched group if I've ever seen it. It's just you're you're starting to see the signs that they're maybe not down the road, but they really planted the seed really early about Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, leading to some kind of animosity. I do like the fact that Braun Breaker's character has showed up a little bit because he is a little bit more, animated, especially last week. We saw a little bit of the craziness and stuff like that. He definitely's got a lot of Scott in him. But I'm just not a fan of the group. But I digress there because what I want to talk about was just previous matchup. I think LA Knight's going to come out victorious. He has to. I like where he's being booked right now, and if he definitely wants to get that key victory, that really significant one to get his career on the upstart and back on the upswing, he's got to beat Seth Rollins on Saturday.
Listen, that's a great storybook line right there in terms of, he's got to get the victory for everything you just said. Makes sense. I just don't think that's going to happen, Jeff.
He's
I
got to
really
win,
feel
bro. He's just got to win.
no, not going to be the case, man. Not going to be the case. I think right now they are so hell bent on showing this dominance of this group right now. If you were to have the leader, listen, if a Braun Breaker or I keep forgetting his name.
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed. I don't know why. I don't know why it keeps escaping me. He's an amazing guy. If a Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker were to lose a match like this, okay, maybe I can understand that, right? But your leader to lose in a situation like this, I don't see it happening. There'll be a whole bunch of hoopla. I'm sure Penta will figure his way to get in there somehow too
Snme.
after suffering a loss. Snme as well. If Karen Cross doesn't finish him off in time, which I hope he does. Please, Karen. I've never been a fan of yours more than to stop and shut up. Sami Zayn for once. Give me 2 weeks off, please. I love you, Sammy, but just keep the mouth closed. Shut up. But yeah, I think that's gonna happen. I think Seth's gonna come out victorious. Again, you're like, why? You're like, why LA Knight, you would think needs this win to give some legitimacy or kind of
No, he needs a key win. He needs
boost
a
up.
key
I
victory.
don't think that's gonna happen though. I think Seth's gonna come out victorious because they're all hell bent on making this nameless faction still one of the dominant forces in the WWE.
All right, we got the big one. Obviously, how long will it go? No one knows except Gunther and Goldberg for the WWE World Championship. Gunther and Goldberg. A lot of people, especially formerly Baron Corbin, was like, let's just fuck with these guys and let's have Goldberg beat them, and have everybody, the whole internet, pissed off and just typing the little chubby little dirty fingers and cursing out WWE for doing it. I just can't see it. Now, I could see Seth Rollins losing to LA Knight and then cashing in his Money in the Bank after Goldberg beats Gunther. I could see where people start getting pissed, and all of a sudden you hear Seth Rollins I could see LA Knight and Seth opening Saturday Night's Main Event, and then Seth loses, and then he cashes in the Money in the Bank. And Gunther doesn't take the L, and we have Seth Rollins as the champion. That's what I see. I see Goldberg actually. I didn't think there was a way that could happen, but for Goldberg, for a little bit, for that split second to get to cheer, hold that belt up as a champion, and then in the proper send off, get it cashed in after getting beat up afterwards by Gunther, or being taken to the limit by Gunther, and then Seth Rollins takes advantage. And I see that happening. I totally could see that. I think it will happen. I think that Goldberg beats Gunther, and I think that Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank. I think it's going to be a big Saturday Night's Main Event, actually. I think it's going to be a big one, too. And then also there's the rumors that Roman Reigns is going to show up at Saturday Night's Main Event. So who knows? But to me, you really want to do this, you got to find a way to take it off of Gunther, and for Seth Rollins to take that championship. I say do that Saturday Night's Main Event. I think that's what happens. I think Goldberg gets the win, and I think Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank. It would be a very ideal time to do it. That would be the weakest. Wouldn't you? If I would rather if Goldberg wins it, that would be the time that the light bulb will come in my head and be like, listen, this is the most vulnerable champion that I'm going to get here. He probably got beat up so much by Gunther. This is the perfect time for me to cash it in. I would say it's just the perfect time for Seth Rollins to cash in Money in the Bank. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, that's the thing that everyone's been talking about. It's the thing that's been pondering in my head in terms of when the Money in the Bank ended. When would Seth be cashing this in? Would he be cashing it on Jay? Would he cash it in on on Gunther? And a scenario like this is just picture perfect, which all the people were complaining about the fact that, Jay lost the title to Gunther, now Gunther's champion, and the way it's been built up for this whole, you want to talk about SummerSlam with Jelly Roll and Randy Orton being a showcase where it's like a scenario where it's like, just for people to enjoy. This is somewhat similar to that too, where people are just going to enjoy this match for, the history of what Bill Goldberg was, or Goldberg, what do you want to call him, because of the career he's had. No, I mean, you call Goldberg, I call him Bill, so it's like it's different there in terms of
Mr. Goldberg to you.
Yeah, Bret Hart used to call him Bill Goldberg because he refused to call him Goldberg. But listen, for a Hall of Fame like Goldberg to be in Atlanta, Georgia, you'd think just the match itself would be enough. But you're right. I think they're going to pull that card and be like, you know what? Let's give him a send off here where he wins the title. It's going to shock everyone. The crowd's going to go crazy. His salute to the business, his salute to the fans, and all of a sudden that music hits. Now, I have Seth winning against LA Knight. Very easily, he could lose. They could start off the show, and then at the end of the night, him cashing in, and that would be a huge wow. Now he is the world champion. It opens the door, too, for CM Punk, Jey Uso. I don't know what it really does for Gunther right now if that happens to him. Maybe it protects him to a certain degree. I don't know. He'll still have to lose clean to Goldberg, but at the same time, this match probably can be 8-10 minutes long, maybe if that. So it's definitely something worth watching, because I think for the most part, Jeff, similar to what happened to John Cena at WrestleMania, I think a lot of people, I don't see this match going long, and
it shouldn't,
because you want to still save the aura of what Goldberg was. And I think that's what
I think Gunther's going to do a good job in trying to do that. I think it's going to be a good challenge for him to do so. So I think that he will not disappoint. I don't think the match will disappoint. I even want to take it one step further, that once Seth Rollins is celebrating, if you really want to make this probably the greatest Saturday Night's Man of all time, Roman Reigns comes out, and then you have him face to face with Seth Rollins. I know, pretty sure if in my scenario, LA Knight's probably going to be deserving of a title shot if he's the one that beats Seth Rollins earlier in the night. But imagine you get all this in one match. You get Goldberg beating Gunther, then the cash in, and then all of a sudden you hear the Roman Reigns' theme song, and then you see him face to face with Seth Rollins, and you get that matchup. You get Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Oh my God, that would captivate me. And I also think, Trendsetter too, the reason why I'm a Roman Reigns fan. I mean, the company does miss Roman Reigns. It really does. And now that he's going to be, talk about stop start, this guy is stop start. You know what I mean? This guy is not going to. This is now
the miss Roman.
What do I miss about Roman?
No, in what way do you think the company misses Roman?
The aura of Roman Reigns, the fact that when he comes out, listen, I don't mind that he skips shows, but the fact that it's not consistent anymore. Now it's really like, now he really takes hiatuses, right? So now it's just that aura, that mystique. Just when he comes out and you hear that and he's a champ, and you see Michael Cole just yell out the number of opponents and the significance of his days as champion. The man has an aura. The man has it, and the company has certainly missed a guy like Roman Reigns. Not taking anything away from Cody Rhodes, not taking anything away from Randy Orton or everyone else, because that is a right now is the best the roster that's ever been, in my opinion. But it does miss a guy like Roman Reigns, and so hopefully when he comes back, it'll lead to more compelling stuff. And there'd be nothing more compelling, Trendsetter, that we finally get Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, right?
I know. Listen, it's a dream match. A lot of people have been wanting to see since the last time they're in the ring together. But this time for a title on the line, similar to what happened last time when the Universal title was on the line too. So I'm sure a lot of people have been chomping at the bit to see that again. I know I would. And you add that to the SummerSlam card. Wow. I mean, you have John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and then you have Seth Rollins. Yeah, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That would be an intriguing night 1, night 2 card, as that being your main events for both nights, or one of the two there. So listen, I don't know if Roman Reigns is going to return. I don't see that. I do foresee it being cashed in though. But if Roman were to actually show up, and talk about throwing everything at one Saturday night's main event.
It really would
be a hard one to top, really, regardless of the outcomes of the matches. And like you said, there are not a lot of matches on this card for very good reason. That's what it is.
I think that's another reason why we're not getting 5, because it's only a 2-hour show, and we know it gets tons of commercials, and we know that Goldberg match is going to be short. I think that's another reason too why we get all these things going on in that one match, all these sequences going on. There'd be something to look into why they only did 4 matches and why and knowing that one match is going to be at least no more than about 8 minutes, and that's with entrances, So it's gonna be interesting to see if we get all that stuff happening. But I do listen. There's rumors that Roman Reigns will be there, so I'm gonna take the fact that he does and incorporate it into the booking of this. So that's why I say it's gonna be it might go down as probably the greatest Saturday Night's Main Event of all time if all this happens. But what a way to just add add excitement, right? It would be exciting though because we'd be talking about it on the post show. We'd be going crazy. It would be like, oh man, this is really good booking finally, and then to see
And it would
Roman.
serve its purpose to building up towards SummerSlam.
Yeah, it really would.
Biggest event of the summer, yeah.
So imagine night 1, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and then night 2, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. That's a pretty big time.
Listen, if that happens, they've just intrigued and made SummerSlam. Because right now, the card the way it is, even though I love Cody, it's not an exciting card to look at. But if you add Roman and Seth into that factor, that does end up happening at SummerSlam. Sorry, it's Saturday Night's Main Event, which I'll give kudos to WWE for this. They have made Saturday Night's Main Events really important, as opposed in the past where like these events are must see. I think that's what's going to happen. If that ends up happening, man, SummerSlam is going to be more exciting leading to August.
Of course, we got to get to Saturday Night's Main Event. And before that, though, on Saturday afternoon, we're going to get AEW All In, their big event, their big show of the year. And kudos to AEW because, we obviously have not talked about it in a while. And when we do talk about it, we kind of we're again not compelled, but there are some matches here that are compelling because you want to see what direction they're going to, because are they going to continue making it kind of more of a company for heels where the heels come out on top, or are you going to try to make the fans go home happy here? And this is why you're trying to figure out, this is your big event, you want to make sure the fans go home happy, or do you decide to prolong some storylines because certain people are coming back to the fold, like a Darby Allin, whether Adam Hangman Page is the guy? That's the big question that we're going to talk about here as we preview All In. Is Adam Hangman going to be the guy to take that belt and finally take it back from Jon Moxley? We're going to get to see it after all this time. So we're going to do our All In preview. We're going to run it down real quick for you guys. So let's talk about the men's gauntlet matchup. The winner will receive a world title shot, automatic world title shot. Obviously, it's going to be Mystico, it's going to be MJF, it's going to be Mark Briscoe, who are the top 3. Listen, I think they've done a pretty decent job in trying to salvage Mark Briscoe's career after I believe that they've damaged him so much. Mystico, I don't know, why, okay, CMLL top guy, okay, they're trying to push him as a top face there. Listen, this is MJF's to lose, to win here. It just would make sense that he's the next guy in line, and I just can't see any other way that MJF does not come out victorious and gets his shot at the World Championship, finally bringing it back to the full for MJF. So I don't see any other way that MJF doesn't come out victorious.
Listen, Mark Briscoe, I love you, brother. Mystico, thanks for coming. But it's basically, like you said, MJF's to win or lose here. It just makes the most sense. They could throw a curveball in there, but I don't know why you would do it in this scenario too, because honestly, like a lot of people have been talking about before, MJF just doesn't seem to be the same MJF we've known before in the past. Maybe this win at All In will set him on the course to the world title again. Now with his new group, the Hurt Syndicate, alongside of him, who knows? Maybe they give him a little bit of an assistance there too. But really, it can be nobody but MJF, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just can't see anybody else. I think it would be a disservice not to have MJF finally back in the title picture. All right, Chancellor, we got the Trios Championship on the line. The champions of Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata taking on Claudio, Wheeler Utah, and Gabe Kidd, the special enforcer for the Death Riders. I like Joe Hobbs and Shibata, but I don't see why they should lose. But I could see trying to give a title to Gabe Kidd so that there's some validity to the guy as he has a championship. And if the Death Riders do win this match, it could lead to possible tease of what's going to happen in the main event. So Do I think that it would be wise to take the belts off Joe, Hobbs, and Shibata? I do think it would be wise, but I think they're going to give the titles to the Death Riders. I think we're going to get new trios champions.
And here I thought Wheeler Yuta was the muscle of the Death Riders.
he,
Showed me something, Jeff. You
he
saw me
definitely
something there.
he definitely has he obviously fills a role where Claudio and Gabe are follically challenged, and Wheeler obviously has the hair of the whole group. So if they ever needed hair, I'm sure Wheeler would be the first one to donate.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure that hair adds an extra 10 pounds for
who do
him.
you got? Who do you got? Well, yeah. So now he'll be $170 with the extra hair. So what do you think? Who do you got?
Listen, man, I know a lot of this depends on what's going to happen in the main event right now, and if I were to predict,
Well, no, I
scenario.
think what happens here will prove a lot to what happens in the event, because if they start collecting gold, it might be a good sign for Moxley.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they collect gold in the scenario where you just said in the beginning, is Adam Hangman Page the guy to dethrone John Moxley? Listen, in this scenario, love Joe, love Powerhouse, love all these guys, but I just think right now they have done such. It's not even surprising. They've done so much work into making the Death Riders such a dominant group in terms of just running through AEW and trying to, in a sense, kill AEW from within. That I think right
Oh,
now,
they're doing a good job.
yeah, I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon right now. So I really feel that we're going to have new trios tag team champions. It's going to be the Death Riders walking away victorious as the new trios tag team champions.
We've got winner take all. This is Tony Khan's wet dream here. This is what he did. This is what he signed for Okada for. This is why this is why he's tried to like keep Kenny Omega as healthy as possible so that he can get his version of Okada and Omega from New Japan, from Wrestle Kingdom. This is his baby. This is what he's always wanted. He could die a happy man. If it were to end on Saturday, he would die a happy man because he got Okada and Omega. The only question is, Trendsetter, it's not, we know what they've been, but this is 10 years later. Can they recapture this? I have a stronger belief that Kenny Omega can recapture his old version because you still see the glimpses there. Can Okada, who, let's be honest, has stolen money from the company because he has been a shell of himself since coming back. Now, you want to blame, people want to blame it on maybe the booking. No. He has. I remember I was one of the people that said that Randy in the mid part of his career had checked it in because he is so talented, and maybe he checked it in. Okada has just checked it in. He's just collecting his paychecks, and can he pull it off is the question. I don't know. Listen,
But
Okada.
you know or no?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I'm going to go on the track record of New Japan that he actually will give a shit about this matchup, that it will be Omega, and it'll give him some kind of freaking motivation to go to find that old Okada. Can they give you 50 minutes? Listen, this is going to be a long ass pay-per-view, right? This could go an hour. Okay, this could go. This is going to be. They're going to try to relive everything. They're going to try to pull off everything from the matches they had in New Japan. Can they do it, Trendsetter? I'm going to give you my prediction, and you tell me whether or not they can. I think they're going to try. I think it's going to be more can Okada keep up with Omega, and I'm going to say that they're going to sure as try. I'm going to say that Okada is actually going to give a damn about this matchup, and I think they're going to try to. It's man, this is. I'm going to say they will, and I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that Kenny Omega on U.S. soil will win. He'll take the winner take all, and he will come out victorious. It's a tough one, dude. It's a tough one. Can they relive it? That's the key. Can they pull it off?
One thing is reliving it. The other thing is the effort that you mentioned there. Listen, I think the effort's going to be there regardless because these two have really great chemistry. Now, granted, they're 10 years separated from the last time they're in the ring together, but I don't think that kind of chemistry in terms of the psychology in the ring goes away. So the effort's going to be there. The question is the effort going to be successful, which is, I guess, is the main question, right? And listen, not through lack of effort, but I think if that's their mentality, if Kenny and Okada's mentality is to kind of relive what they had done 10 years ago in New Japan, then I think they're just setting themselves up for failure, in my opinion. I don't really see them having a bad match, but I do feel it's going to be, they're going to try to go through nostalgia of something where it's like, listen, it's just be the best versions of yourselves now that you could possibly can be. For Kata, that's a stretch, right? But for Kenny at this stage of his career and where he is right now, I think it's going to go to him. I think he's going to come out victorious. I think he's going to be a winner take all. He's going to take it because if you're doing all this to build it up, now we've been fooling before where you're thinking and you're trying to put the pieces together. If you're building all this adversity towards Kenny, he's got to come out victorious in this one now because it's all stacked up against him. And after all he's gone through and his physical illness he had to come back from that, this would be a great story book in terms of wrapping up this
This
chapter
would
with
be a great
Okada.
tribute. This would be a career defining win for Kenny Omega on U.S. turf. We know he's Canadian, but still in North American turf. To have that signature victory, to have that moment that Bryan Danielson had at All Out in Wembley, to have that moment where he's in the stadium, he's getting cheered by the fans because he has his signature victory, and I think that's be one of the leading reasons why I'm gonna take Omega, and I think you're gonna take Omega as well, right?
Yeah, I just said I was taking Omega in this one. I just think the effort's going to be there. I just think mentally they shouldn't be going into this trying to recapture what they've done before. If they do that, it's going to be a long night, especially with Kenny trying to work with Okada. But ultimately, in the end, I think Kenny's coming out victorious in this. I'm not going to give this a star booking or star rating. I just think right now, in terms of intrigue, I will be intrigued watching this match because I just
Yeah,
want to
it's
see how
compelling.
these two are going to work well together. And they get a small glimpse, just a little bit of what they once had, Jeff. That's going to be a huge victory for AEW.
Can Kenny Omega and Okada. Now we're rounding upwards with how long it's been. It could be about 7 years, 8 years, whatever. We're gonna round to 10, just a nice little round number for you. But can they relive that? Can they recapture that? We know it's gonna be nostalgia. We know why the fans are there because they're there because it's Omega Okada, right? So we're gonna see what happens. That's a compelling one. That's why I would watch that. If I'm gonna sit down for one, I want to see what they do here. It's more compelling to me than Hangman and Moxley.
Definitely. One last thing I'll just add to it. It's the matches from Kenny Omega and Okada that you and I watched, Jeff, which I felt were the laying foundation, in my opinion at least, of what the inception of what AEW was going to
Mhm,
be down the road. So
mhm.
something like this is very special for AEW because all the people who are fans of AEW who followed it, you and I have been fans and have followed it since the very beginning when it was just all in pay-per-view and it turned into AEW. A lot of it was based on my opinion, what we saw in New Japan between Kenny and Okada. So if they can relive that magic to a certain degree, what a great moment in terms of it coming full circle for AEW.
The question is never their pay-per-views always they always do good pay-per-views. Again, it's always been storyline and compelling stuff. This is compelling. So one of the reasons why I would watch All In on Saturday is because of this freaking match. Can they relive it, folks? And we want to ask you guys too. Can they relive it? Let us know on our all social media as we head to All In. The tag team match: Young Bucks against Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Basically, if the Bucks lose, they give up their EVP spots. But if, and they love doing this on in AEW, is if Ospreay and Strickland lose, then they cannot challenge for the world championship for 1 year's time. Trendsetter, here we go. We're gonna play who needs it more, and we're gonna do it here. Who needs it more? Do the Bucks need to hold on to those EVP spots, or is it just meaningless at this point? And it'd be better if they get those titles off at least. At least kayfabe get them off there because they have tremendous heat, or where they take the heat off of them, or could AEW survive without having Ospreay or Strickland in the main event scene for 1 year vying for a championship? Trendsetter, who needs this more, the Bucks or Swerve and Ospreay?
I'll tell you something, bruv. I'll tell you something. They need it more. Strickland and Will Ospreay need this more. Listen, if that were to ever happen, you'd just be doing yourself a disservice because why would you take one of your two biggest stars in the company, which is Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay, and keep them out of the title picture? Sure, they can go against Kenny Omega and they go for these secondary titles, but why would you not want them? Especially a guy like Will Ospreay who has this connection with the audience and the fans of AEW.
Yeah.
Why would you not want him to go for the title? Why wouldn't you want Swerve to try to reclaim the title they had lost to Bryan Danielson?
Why
Yeah,
would you book yourself in that spot too?
you're not going to pull a Cody now. We're going to I can't challenge for little in a year. So I think right now the whole EVP thing is kind of run its course in my opinion for the Bucks. I think they're smart enough to realize it. I don't know if they go on hiatus again after this. Maybe it's a possibility because that title will be stricken from their record down to they're no longer EVP. So I think right now Swerve and Will Ospreay need this more. I think that's why they'll come back victorious. And I think that's what we're going to see. The no longer EVPs will be the Young Bucks, and they'll be back to being called Matt and Nick instead of
Yeah.
Matthew and Nicholas.
Plus, you want to, yeah, it could lead back to a babyface, but also, you're right. Why would they buck themselves in that situation? You'd like to see the heels get their comeuppance, right? You want to see the heels, lose in this situation. This just would make sense for the heels to lose. Triple threat match for the World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Syndicate, who, listen, they are impressive. We know what they've done in WWE. This is literally like men versus kids. No offense to Christian because he's probably the only adult in this three-way. The patriarchy, Christian Cage, and Nick Wayne, and also Speed Bailey, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight. Listen, here's where you buried these guys, and then you tried so obviously desperately hard to in the final lead-in show to Dynamite 2 All In to try to think that they actually had a chance, where you basically just did a disservice because you made your big guys, you made your tag team champions look like fools to be hurt by these guys, and it just made no sense. So luckily, AEW, you didn't do damage to the Hurt Syndicate. You tried, though. You really almost did a banger job of making them look like shit, but you didn't, because I don't believe one iota that these guys are going to beat the Hurt Syndicate. I think you're and still tag team champions are going to be the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to talk too much about this too in terms of just the way the tag team division is in AEW is, to me, a joke right now. That's my honest opinion on it. And if you were to do the disservice of take the titles off the Hurt Syndicate, then what are you doing in terms of that tag division? You're not building up anymore. You're trying to make it believable. You're trying to make that there's this possible threat that they could lose the titles. I don't see that happening. Good job, AEW, for trying at least. I'll give effort there, although the effort is pretty meaningless in my opinion. So I got the Hurt Syndicate coming out victorious in this one.
All right, transfer to the women's casino gauntlet match. The winner gets a title shot at the world championship. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Chris Statlander, number 1, and Megan Bayne, number 2. Obviously, these would be the favorites in any kind of match, but I'm just not a Chris Statlander fan. So I'm gonna go Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne should get that shot, and she should be pushed to the moon because she's got it. She's got that it factor, and yeah, I would definitely say Megan Bayne should come out here victorious.
Like, talking about a match that has a huge implication what might happen in the main event in terms of between Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm, which we'll talk about in a few, or Timeless Toni Storm, I'm sorry. I think if Megan Bayne wins this, it kind of tells you a little bit of what's going to happen. If Chris Statlander wins it, then it gives you an idea of what might happen there too. But I think I'm picking Megan Bayne in this one. I think it makes the most sense. She's had an opportunity before at the title, didn't come out on the other side victorious, lost to Timeless Toni Storm. But I think if Megan Bayne wins it, it kind of tells me what direction they might go in the women's main event. So I got Megan Bayne as the new number 1 contender.
You need that larger than life person. Now, Chris Statlander could be that, but just her personality, it's just very wishy-washy. Megan Bayne is a badass. If anybody is going to either end,
and Penelope Ford just has a nice ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
God.
One's a badass, one has an. But this Megan Bayne's not. She's not too bad to look either. You need somebody up and comer, or someone that has that it factor, or someone that is a badass, if they're going to take that title from Mercedes Moné, right? If that's what you're building it up for Mercedes to win all these titles and finally lose to that next up and comer. If that's the reason. That's why you build somebody up that high, because it's going to be the next person, right? Now I can see Megan Bayne doing it. I could see her being that person. I can't see anybody else. I can't. It seems like, for example, like you could give it to a Chris Statlander, but like, you just don't see you don't see her taking that next step anytime soon with it. I would love for Willow to, but again, we've seen kind of, like Willow does she have that star power right now to beat a Mercedes Moné? So this would be the number. This would be the one legitimate threat to Mercedes Moné and Megan Bayne. If Mercedes is going to retain, this would be the the big threat for her in her championships. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The TNT Championship, Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher. I don't want to spend. Listen, Kyle Fletcher should take this title and have a long title reign. Finally, to me, a worthy TNT champion that hasn't been in a long time. Kyle Fletcher, I think, will walk away and beat Adam Cole. You cannot have Kyle Fletcher lose to Adam Cole. This is your guy. Kyle Fletcher needs to beat Adam Cole. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Kyle Fletcher beats Adam Cole.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it. I think Kyle Fletcher needs to win this. The whole scenario of him just coming over from Ring of Honor there has this little star quality. Has a star quality about him, and the whole thing he's done with Will Ospreay to get to this point. If he doesn't get rewarded with the TNT title, I think it's a disservice. It's an injustice per se. Adam Cole has chances, has opportunities. He's kind of set in terms of what he's done in the company and in terms of not just professional wrestling, but in AEW as well. And needs to go to Kyle Fletcher. He needs to be a long title reign with the TNT title to kind of give it some type of significance, to give it the ability of what it was supposed to be all along. It was supposed to be their version, in my opinion at least. It was supposed to be their version of the Intercontinental title. And for the most part, it has been unsuccessful. So if you give it to Kyle Fletcher, I think they're on the right road to do that.
And honestly, I think Adam Cole is at that point in his career where he should, if anything, he should be a gatekeeper. And I think I really do. And I think finally they can actually. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, honest to God, I think that they shrunk that TNT title for Adam Cole. I really do. I think once Kyle Fletcher becomes a champion, they can give him the original TNT title and put it on somebody that actually has a man's body. All right. So now we get to the AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. This probably has this is probably their dream match, right? It should have to me it should have been a winner take all, because so if Toni Storm wins, she keeps her one title, but she has more to lose here, right? I mean, so Mercedes Moné, okay, she'll just go about it and she'll still be the TBS champion, the TBS champion, and her other 6 titles or 5 titles, right? So it should have been a winner take all. Listen, there's people that are fans of Toni Storm and they aren't. They don't like what she does, whatever. I'm a fan of it. Mercedes Moné, listen, whatever you want to say about her, but whatever you want to say about creative control.
Yeah, don't say creative control. Don't say anything about creative control right now.
I'm going to say,
because everyone's upset about that word. They don't like the word creative control.
Whether you want to call her the best right now in the business, because again, it's hard to say that because there's so much into this. Not like, it's so much that's involved when you're the best here, because it just involves so many things. That's another argument that we can have here, but just trying to preview this. To me, Mercedes Moné is going to beat timeless Toni Storm. I think she's going to become the champion, and I think it's going to be this is where you're going to get the heel to walk away with all the titles, and then again, whoever gets the automatic title shot, I believe it's going to be Megan Bayne. I think it's going to be she's the one that's going to end the title reign of Mercedes Moné, but we'll see about that one. But as far as this match, I think Mercedes Moné comes out victorious.
Yeah, listen, this is probably one of the most also other intriguing matches out there in terms of storyline base, in terms of just what you've heard during the IWC and what they're saying about what's going on, whether Mercedes Moné has creative control or doesn't have creative control, whether people like Toni Storm's version of timeless Toni Storm or they don't. It doesn't matter. People are intrigued to watch this match because regardless of it, what Toni Storm has done at this stage in her career, reinventing herself, has been nothing but utterly amazing. What Mercedes Moné has done in terms of her career has been amazing in a different respect, because what we once thought she was in WWE, and listen, you guys can disagree with me all you want. It's perfectly fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But this version of her, I didn't realize how protected she was in WWE, because this version of Mercedes Moné, there's no connection there. They tried to bring her as a babyface. It didn't work. Easily can hate her. And now this version of her, I feel those titles, as nice as they are no service to anything but her. And I think Tony is so, this was one of the biggest signings he wanted so badly, other than Okada. He wanted Mercedes, got what he wanted. And it just would make no sense if she didn't come out victorious in this one, because for her to finally do it all in terms of winning all the titles and now winning the main title, the all title that needs to be out there, the AEW Women's title would just be justification there. So I think Mercedes is going to win that one and have all those titles. We'll have a huge ceremony on Dynamite or Collision, it might be. And again, that's what you want, because if you built your heel star to be that, it makes no sense for her to lose. So for Toni Storm, people are like, how are you going to do it to her? She's lost before. In my opinion, it doesn't affect her or her character. But at the same time, it's like, you're kind of like, really? We're going to give it to Mercedes? She's got all these titles. She's burying talent. Supposedly, that's what the people are saying. She's burying talent by having all these titles and doing nothing for the business, and the whole claim that she's the best women's wrestler. She doesn't want to be called Mercedes.
This has been
called Omega. All this stuff.
This has been her.
Matter.
This has been her trendsetter, capitalizing on what she's done in WWE, capitalizing the way, not that she's manipulated, but give her kudos for working, getting what she's wanted, and she got what she wanted in AEW. And the whole title
I can't hate her on that. I can't hate her on that.
I cannot. And the whole title thing is an ego thing, because more than a quarter, more than 3/4 of the titles don't mean shit, right? It's all about, to me, honestly, it's the TBS or the World Championship, right? And I just don't see why retaining the title against Mercedes Moné is bigger than Mercedes Moné capturing all the titles. At the end of the day, what's more impressive? Her collecting all the titles. And this is an ego thing, because she wants to have all the titles, because she wants to build that resume up, because she knew in WWE that she couldn't. Now, if Mercedes Moné, for example, she can wrestle, but if she had Toni Storm's promo ability, she definitely would be in a league of her own, because she can't cut a promo. So I can't say you're the best when you can't do that, when it's just bad promo after bad promo.
Well, but she always says she's the best female wrestler. She's the best promo.
So she said, but I'm saying, if the discussion right now is that she's the best in the world right now, I don't think she is. I think that there's a lot of conversation when it's predetermined and you collect all these titles. So what? You know what I mean? Like, so it's a predetermined thing. It has to be that you can wrestle and then you can cut a good promo and you compel me. Mercedes Moné does not compel me. So I wish she had Toni Storm's promo ability, because maybe she would be compelling. But again, this is about what makes more sense. Does it make more sense by celebrating one title victory, or does it make sense collecting all these titles, right? All these titles, and then having that celebration on Dynamite, and then having either Megan Bayne be the next opponent, or waiting for All Out, or waiting for something else, waiting for another big show, so that you can finally have that person step up and beat Moné, because that has got to be the thing. You just can't have her continuing domination after this. This win, Trendsetter, has to be the setup for the next big thing to beat Mercedes Moné. It has to be. It has to be winner take all. So that's why I'm surprised.
Yeah, this title collection has been a perception versus reality thing. The perception that having all these titles has built to this moment is why Mercedes has come out victorious.
Yeah. And finally, Trendsetter, we've got Adam Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. It's something.
Can Adam finish the story, Jeff?
And Adam Hangman Page finish the story in Texas, or is the company gonna just give you the big middle finger and have Jon Moxley, who I believe has done more of a disservice as a champion, and with that Death Riders, I've said it before, Death Riders to be one of the worst. And I thought that the BCC club was shit. This group over here has just even made the BCC club look like the Four Horsemen. This is just to me, it's just he's done a huge disservice in this title run. The ratings have dropped. There's nobody cares. People, it's the wrong kind of heat. They just want to. How do you have a champion and not show off that title? How do you not promote your championship when you get a chance to? Even if you're a heel, you need to have that title visible, right? I don't know what it is, this fascination with Moxley here in this kind of version of himself, but in the Texas death match as well, one thing I'm going to tell you, there's going to be blood, and they're going to drink each other's blood, dude. It is going to be a massacre. But is Hangman going to finish the story? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he finishes the story, because it's just led to this. It's the perfect setting. It's going to be the main event. You have to have, at the end of the day, Hangman Page finish the story in Texas. He's got to come out victorious. He's got to have that championship. He's got to have the boys come out, and they got to carry him on his shoulders and to be the man. Now, the Young Bucks had an interview where they said that Hangman, it makes sense when Hangman is the man. He's always destined to be the man there, right? Make him the man here, fully be in line here, and make Adam Hangman Page become your AEW World Champion. Bring that title out and celebrate it. Have it a night of celebration for Hangman. I'm not sure if he deserves it, but the story has led to this. Have Hangman Page win that championship at All In. To me, he needs to win. He should win. He'll win.
I don't think the question is Adam Hangman Page going to win? But how much blood is John Moxley going to lose in this match? It's basically
my
the
God.
biggest question, bigger than who's going to win this match, right? How much quarts of blood is John Moxley going to spill?
What disgusting kind of things they're going to do.
Yes. But listen, what we talked about before with Mercedes and Tony, perception is reality, right? The perception of whether you agree that Adam Hangman Page deserves this or not is really irrelevant. Not in your case, Jeff, but I'm saying it's irrelevant because it's an opinion. It's how one feels about it. But one thing cannot be denied about Adam Hangman Page, right? Since he started in the company, and we've seen the historical matches, and if you want to call them historical, but the matches that have become unforgettable to a certain degree with Swerve Strickland and that rivalry there, it's just shown that regardless of how you feel about him as a character, again, whether he does promos well, whether he connects with the audience, the crowd loves him. The crowd really likes Adam Hangman Page. They've tried to make him a heel. It doesn't work. They still want to cheer for him. So, and in this scenario, I think it's the right time to happen. I think it's the right moment for it to happen and occur. In a situation like this, where it's all kind of set up in his backyard, in a sense, and his type of match, Texas Death Match, for him to come out victorious in this one, to kind of, and it's funny how you mentioned too, like they won't show the title. Hey, geez, even the NWO spray painted NWO on the world title to showcase the title, at least some significance of it. So I think at some point he will break that briefcase. There will be people out there. There'll be confetti, fireworks. Tony Khan will put in all the hoopla there for that particular moment, because I think it'll be a great moment for him. Listen, despite the fact of how I feel Adam Hangman Page's character has really evolved, not in the great sense, in my opinion, from when we first saw him, when we used to see him in Ring of Honor, and this was prior to the AEW days. I was like, man, this guy is really, really good. I think this version, regardless of how you agree with the character, has some type of connection with the audience. They want him to win. And even though they wanted Swerve and they wanted Will Ospreay there too, and listen, even Will Ospreay giving his thumbs up saying, you're going to be the guy, you will be the guy type of thing. I think it's all built up for Adam to come back victorious. So at the end of the day, when it's all over and the smoke is cleared in Texas, you'll have a brand new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Adam Hangman Page.
All right, there you go, guys. That is your all-in preview. You also previewed Saturday night's main event, talked a little bit of SmackDown. Now, make sure you stick with us afterwards on Saturday. We will have the post show for you guys after Saturday night's main event. Tune in to HSP on IG Live. We will talk about all that stuff that happened on Saturday, and also make sure you catch the Sunday preview where we preview Evolution and the Great American Bash. Now, you've been watching HSP on the Give a Shot Network. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of HSP. You don't want to miss this preview of Saturday night's main event. You don't want to miss this preview of All In, and definitely make sure you catch us on IG Live for the post show. Same thing as well on Evolution. You'll catch the train. Catch your train and catch the post show of Evolution as well as Great American Bash after Evolution is done. A big night in women's wrestling on Sunday, but on Saturday it's all about All In. It's all about Saturday night's main event. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Make sure, if you can't watch us, listen to us on all podcast platforms. And again, folks, we are here for you guys, the crew. Looking forward to all of Saturday. Sit back early on in the afternoon, watch All In, and then catch Saturday night's main event. And then make sure you stay with us on IG Live afterwards to catch the Trendsetter and myself give you a dissection of everything that happened. Our predictions. We want you guys to join us on social media as well. Leave your comments and everything you think is going to happen. We want to hear from you, the crew. All right, Trendsetter, break it down and sign us off.
Guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the High Spot Podcast from my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berga. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. Thank you so much for joining us here. A whole week of wrestling, guys, a weekend of wrestling. Guys, enjoy it. We will enjoy it with you. We'll catch you next time. And remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
See you on IG Live, folks. Enjoy.